Ladies and gentlemen, football fans of North Central Ohio, you are now entering the Friday Night Pigskin. So get strapped in, lace them tight, and get right for big hits, top plays, and highlights. All coming your way from under the Friday night lights. The most exciting sounds and sights, gridiron action to serve your viewing delights. Let's go. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Throws it over the middle and he gets absolutely sauced. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now.
Forward here. Try to pin him back as far as you can or try to squib. Bauer, high kick. That's a pretty good one. Into the end zone.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Centerburg opts to return. Running to the outside. Trevin Harris. He has a blocker down the field. Harris to the 40. The kicker Bauer's not going to catch up to the 10. Touchdown Centerburg.
Oh my goodness. 100-yard kickoff return. A 2-point conversion away. Pandemonium. What? They outkicked the coverage.
That late block down the field kept Bauer at bay enough for Harris to sneak by.
My, oh my, the call of the night from one of the games of the night that you watch live and free right here on the OH Report, and it's all for naught. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later in our KMAC Report. I am Brian Skoronsky, and this is week 4 of the Friday Night Pigskin, presented exclusively by our good friends at Spherion Mid-Ohio. Obviously, one of the best weeks that there is throughout the high school football season. Week 1, there's all that optimism, of course. You got all those unknowns, who's going to be good, what young players are going to step up. Week 10's always fun, who's in, who's out, who's clinching some home playoff games. But then week 4, there's always this little part where even if you got off to a slow start, maybe you're 0-3, there's that second season that you still have an opportunity to have all your dreams come through. Everything is still at your feet in terms of the conference chases, and that's what we got tonight. The kickoff for most of the conferences and the teams got underway here tonight. And we will begin our highlight portion of the show with a team that I think unquestionably was the favorite after 3 weeks in the Northern 10 Conference. The Colonel Crawford Eagles at home against Mohawk. The Eagles have been soaring so far. Back-to-back shutouts coming into tonight. We'll show you how it all shook out when they took on the Warriors. And of course, they love their Eagles out there in North Robinson because they've just been kicking everybody's butt so far. But we got to begin with a punt for the Eagles. And here's Caleb Bish on the other end. And no one seems to be able to get him down in a black uniform as he's going to go coast to coast early on. First points of the night on the board by Mohawk. It is 7-0, 80-yard house call to get the party started. This is Kane Heyman. A couple possessions later, 5 yards, he bursts into the end zone. It's 14-0, Mohawk out in front. We'll fast forward you second quarter now. Throw to the end zone and you got mossed. Ben Bogner up over the defender that time from Caleb Bish. 21-zip. Mohawk is running things out there in North Robinson. That would make it 28-0. It's Bogner again, his second touchdown of the night. Still, second quarter, fam. This is late, just before the half. Braden Holt is going to hook up with Connor McMichael, and he's going to rumble and bumble. This dude's had an unbelievable start to the season. Just 34 seconds remaining on the clock. He made it 28-7, but this was Mohawk's night. Kane Heyman into the zone again, 35-7. The Warriors stunned Colonel Crawford inside of the Eagles' nest. And to get the conversation started about this, I'm going to bring in my buddy Travis Berardi. I'm looking at the numbers here, Trav. Crawford, back-to-back shutouts. They've really, taken care of business defensively. Are you surprised that they gave up 35 points at home tonight?
Yeah, after the way they played in the first 3 weeks, and then they just get rolled at home to a Mohawk squad. Now, for those of you that watched the media show from WQEL that we did a few weeks ago, I asked, are there any dark horses, any teams that could possibly give a shot at Colonel Crawford or Carey? And a few of them said Mohawk, a couple said Seneca East too. I said, yeah, Mohawk, they got some players back. Well, they really showed it tonight. And like you said in the start, it don't matter what you did in the first 3 weeks conference-wise. Well, Mohawk, welcome to the conversation, my friends. That was, wow, what a game for them. Also shows maybe, the teams Colonel Crawford played early on, I mean, they slept-walk through it. Did they overlook a little bit? Did they think, things like that? But, wow, Mohawk, hey, hats off to you tonight. That's the big storyline that we've had, at least in the Northern 10. We have other storylines that we're going to talk about later on. But at Mohawk, hey, great job there, just completely dominating that game.
Yeah, 40 points per game so far for the Eagles until tonight. They get on the board just once, and it took a heroic effort from the McMonster to break loose and go 65 yards before the break. So this Eagles offense, I've seen them with my own eyes. Obviously they've got a lot of different weapons. Appreciate what we've seen from Lucas Foy so far, lighting the fuse. McMichael's been great. Yep. Baker has been a pretty sharp shooter as well when he's had his opportunities to throw. Just 7 points for the Eagles. I think that's probably going to be surprising to most people when they read about this headline tonight here, Trav.
Absolutely. But also, don't count Crawford out the rest of the way either. This might be a big wake-up call. You might have just, awakened a sleeping giant after what they did, because the coaching staff over there is going to get them right back into motion. This isn't going to be something that's going to spiral Crawford out, but this is a win that could take off for Mohawk, as they still got to play Carey down the line, but now it's looking like maybe are the Warriors the favorites?
Ooh, yeah, I think they'd have to be right now in the driver's seat, if not them, Carey. But Carey starting the season 0-3 in non-league play.
They got a big win tonight too.
So, they absolutely throttled Upper Sandusky. I saw that score. But the next two games on the schedule for each of these teams in reverse orders, they get Bucyrus and then Buckeye Central. So, no disrespect to either of those teams, but we fully expect Mohawk and Colonel Crawford to emerge from those two games 2-0 before they start getting into the latter portion of the season. That's when Crawford would run into a Carey. So we're expecting some bounce-back performances, certainly from these Eagles in their next couple of games. But Mohawk, baby, come on. This is the biggest surprise so far of the season in my eyes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The way they came out. Now, Crawford's going to have to be the biggest Carey fans before they play Carey, because
who'd have thought?
They still play. They still have Mohawk down the line. But, yeah, I mean, also for Mohawk, we're through week 4, so, Lemonardi Berardi's starting to approach the starting gun here for what we're going to do playoff-wise, but that's a big win for those bonus points down the line, because we know Crawford, they're going to bounce back. Both teams next 2 weeks going to be highly favored, so that win is going to help Mohawk out in a tough region that they're in.
So one bird of prey looking to go to 4-0 tonight. Could not. That Colonel Crawford. Another one as well, Hillsdale, and they haven't been hanging out in the Falcons' nest for a while.
Nope.
Third consecutive road game. Would it be some tired legs for them? Would they be longing for a taste of home on the road at Chippewa tonight, Travis?
The answer just flat out, no. Hillsdale extremely, after everybody that they lost last year, we've been talking about this the first few weeks, they have not skipped a beat. And let's go to the footage, and I'll just show you how they haven't. First drive of the game, and it's a little defense. Who doesn't love defense? Who don't love pick sixes? Hayden McFadden, pick six, just like that. The Falcons are flying. It is 7-0. Now we talk about Cale Lewis, the sophomore quarterback. He can throw the ball, but did you know he can run as well? 18 yards by himself, a little juke jive action. It is 14-0 Hillsdale. But also, another player. Did he get phenom? Who knows for this week? Owen Sloan, he's going to be in this highlight a lot, Brian. That's his first touchdown, 3-yard rush. Multiple chips tried to stop him, but he still got in. It's 21-0. And then Sloan again, 5-yard rushing to start the second quarter, 28-0. And did I tell you we're going to see a lot of Sloan, because we saw him again get into the end zone barely. Look at the slow motion. He got the ball over before he fumbled. Watch it again. Did he get in, Brian? Did he get in? I think so.
I'd say Sloan. No?
Slow motion showed that he was
slow?
in. 42-0. And then with 1 second left in the third, Brock Bauer, 5 yards into the end zone, 45-0. And let's get some freshmen. Deacon Borman, he's a freshman, nearly dropped the handoff, but still into the end zone, 56-0 in the fourth. And then an onside kick by Hillsdale. It gets them into the end zone. Reed Major, the freshman, from 27 yards out. There's the onside kick right there. Hey, freshmen, it's the freshman team going up against some varsity players. You got to get your moments in there. And then there is Reed Major off the left side into the end zone. 63. A 63 burger, 63-0. Hillsdale. Wow.
Yeah, them boys got fed tonight. They were hungry. They've been away from home, like I said. They wanted to return back to the Falcons' Nest undefeated at 4-0. Definitely did it in style.
Yeah.
We've already talked ad nauseum about the different pieces that they lost from a season ago. It's time to move on and start focusing on these new dudes. Owen Sloan. Obviously, he was up for Phenom this last week. We're going to tell you after the break if he ended up running away with it. And then they've got all these other pieces. A lot of speed and the quarterback that can get him the ball. Everything seems to be falling in place right now for Coach Trevor Klein's team.
Yeah.
And Coach Klein looking to make the playoffs again every single year that he's been there. It feels like they've got a good vibe out there in Falcon Country, the new facilities and everything, even though they're on the road tonight. The getting's good.
Absolutely, and they're going to need to have these games because we saw tonight Dalton knocked off Smithville, who was undefeated, by a few scores. Later in the year, Dalton and Norwayne both come to Hillsdale. Now, that home field advantage, we've been down there, beautiful facilities, great home field advantage, but if they can keep putting up these big numbers, keep that momentum going, we may be seeing Hillsdale playing for some big games at the end of the year, not only into the playoffs.
Well, they put up 63 points, but they pitched the shutout. That's what I really like, Travis.
And with the freshmen, too. They had the freshmen in for the whole fourth quarter. They let the freshmen and the JVs do their thing, the onside kick. Okay, yeah, they're up big, but it's not like it's the varsity doing it. It's these young players that don't get a lot of time, so they're going to try and do some things to get on the board. 2 freshmen scored. I mean, got to shout out one more time, Deacon Borman and Reed Major, both scoring touchdowns as freshmen. I mean, those are moments that you live for, especially as a freshman when you don't get a lot of time. So I wouldn't look much into that, but just everybody contributing. It's just a lot of fun over at Hillsdale right now, and that could lead to some big success, especially down the line when they play big games.
I want to focus on a junior, though, real quick. I'm going to throw out the first top play nominee of the show. All right, I got to give it up to turning some defense into some offense. Hayden McFadden, he's no stranger to this list already for the first few weeks. How about the quarterback thinking that he's got something to the perimeter? Nope. Snatch and go all the way to the zone. And this is in the first minute of the game. You want to talk about like setting the stage, baby. Right. This is rolling out the red carpet in style on the road.
Yeah, Chippewa, we're going to receive. We're going to go down. No, you're not. Nope. I'm sorry. Hayden McFadden said, nope, we're done right here. 7-0. You're going to get the ball back, and then we're just going to handle things from there. We talk about the great players on defense, on offense, but I mean, defense making plays too. Like I said, they're having fun over in Jeromesville.
Yeah, no question. Looking forward to seeing this team when they do return home. I think they get back-to-back games at the Falcons' Nest, and of course, we're going to be there for all of the action. All right, so we're going to continue with the Birds of Prey theme. Why not? So we started with some Eagles. Didn't go so well for them. We had some Falcons. That looked pretty good. Now some Eagles playing at home tonight, and it was a rivalry game. We had Big Walnut taking on Delaware Hayes, an undefeated Hayes squad at that. Micah Flack was there. He took in all of the action, so some cross-county rivals, and there was a lot of juice to this game, just one loss between them. Tell me about just what the environment felt like tonight down there in Sunbury.
Well, it was packed in Sunbury, just completely electric. This is a county rivalry game, of course, and everyone came out. Delaware Hayes, that was a team that had only given up 14 points throughout the first 3 weeks. They had held Marion Franklin and Mount Vernon to 0 points. And then you had a huge win over Newport Madison for Big Walnut, and it just created this atmosphere, and it was intense.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing these highlights. Let's go ahead and roll the moving pictures and take me through these. I'm going to see these for the first time. Pretty excited to see the Eagles take care of business at home.
And this one, of course, just a little tip pass gets right in the hands of the Will linebacker, Jax Lawrence, a pick six. And this one was a flag, but it was right after the interception. So then you turn and right to the running back. It would be a crazy game. So on that play, it would be a flag that was roughing the kicker that led to that 20-yard touchdown. Then quickly they turned around as it would be right back. It's for Big Walnut, just finding the outside, hitting the crease, and in for the touchdown. Big Walnut just continued to lay it on. Delaware Hayes would just be able to find some momentum, and they would find it right here. A big pass, just able to escape away and find a little dunk to the running back. And Aki just getting his second touchdown. But though, it would be right back to Big Walnut. They would cut right outside, just be able to break a tackle and take it all the way. But who else but the MVP, as that was Nolan, of course, getting right in there. And then it'd be right back and just continue to pile it on, just dump it in as Burley continues to show his poise. And that pretty much effectively put it out of reach. But there would be a little bit here as they would start to throw the freshman in. Just some long runs to be a 77-yard touchdown for Aki.
So obviously, well, I was going to say that Nolan Burley looked like he was that dude tonight. But what happens here? What's going down at the end of the game?
So they just kind of throw it, they just kind of give it to Aki one last time. He gets that 77-yard touchdown. Of course, this game was well over. They ring the victory bell, and that was a huge win for the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, tell me more about Nolan's performance. He was your MVP. You got an opportunity to chat with him. Kind of looked like he carried the team on his back offensively when they needed him, tripping into a little bit of a hole there, and then, man, they came out and they really dominated that second and third.
And Nolan did exactly what they needed him to do, run for the chunk plays. That was a team that really dominated through the run game. You do 5, 6, 7 yards, and you would wear down the Delaware Hayes defense. You got to realize that this guy is 6'1" as a sophomore and weighs 190 pounds. So if he gets past that first line, those linebackers and corners are going to have a rough day.
And so this is second consecutive week the Big Walnut is playing an undefeated opponent, and they take care of business handily, 41-21. Last week, a little bit tighter game, but they still win by double figures. So seems like they're starting to find their stride a little bit. Do you expect them to be a true contender in the OCC Capital Division?
I would expect them to be able to perform, especially with the run game. You get that huge win over Groveport-Madison, and then you beat Delaware Hayes, who, regardless of the records against Marion, Franklin, and Mount Vernon, they held them to 0 and scored 64. So to be able to hold them to just 21, it shows that you can have some confidence going into the coming weeks.
Yeah, big win over the Pacers. It doesn't get any easier. They got to go on the road to Westerville South next week. And there's a long way to go in this competition, of course, for the league, but that one could probably go a long way to deciding who's going to be one of the front runners.
Of course, and of course, in the OCC, of course, there's 16 teams in a 3-team division, so you really have to figure out how to balance all of this with these many teams. But of course, Big Walnut being able to find that big win and being able to do what they need to do in the coming weeks.
All right, good stuff, Mike, and a big win here tonight for Big Walnut. Glad to have you on board so far for the football season. 4 weeks in, what are your impressions of the area of football and the landscape that you've been taking in? What do you think about some of the talent that we have here in North Central Ohio and, well, closer down to you in Columbus?
Well, it's crazy. I mean, we went to Danville and East Knox, and those two towns just love football. So getting to see that, and then the difference with Delaware Hayes and then Big Walnut, it's just a crazy atmosphere to see what Columbus and North Central Ohio has.
All right, man. Well, still a long way to go. So thanks for burning the midnight oil with us, staying up late, and we'll invite you back on. We'll have you on the Pigskin again here soon.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Micah Flacca, a senior at Ohio State, and his first season with the OH Report, doing a great job paired up with Bryce Coder this year. We're going to take a quick commercial timeout. When we come back, we've got your winners from week number 3, the top play of the week, as well as the Phenom. And then it's going to be all Mo action all the time. We were at 3 out of the 4 games tonight, so we'll show you how everything shook out next.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion. Visit us online at midohiojobs.net or call 419-747-7479.
More than Crown, we are the real people behind Crown CDJR of Dublin. Every member of our sales team is dedicated to providing you an excellent customer experience.
Find the right vehicle for you and your lifestyle. Visit Crown Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram today, the better way to buy.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. And if you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. See, that's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
It is 4 of the Friday Night Pigskin, but let's throw it and rewind real quick and go way back to week number 3. Tons of votes came in, so bravo to all of you out there that made your number count this week, and we had a tight race. Came down to just 7 votes for the top play of the week, but this was your winner. So you see Mapleton, they think they got something going, but nah! One-handed is all Cameron Goldbach needs to get the snatch and go all the way to the zone. We'll have to show it to you one more time. Look, ma, one hand, got my dollars, do my dance, all the way to the end zone. Northmor romps with the top play of the week. And here comes your Friday Night Phenom. Again, another great race. It came down to the wire. After all the votes came in, you thought the Owen Sloan had the best performance of the week. And look at those numbers. Hard to disagree. Only 13 carries to break off 168 yards. He would find pay dirt not once or twice, but a 3-pack of tutties for this junior back. He's been phenomenal all season long, but was exceptional in this win to earn your Phenom against Loudonville from week number 3. So again, thanks to all of you out there for dropping us a comment and a vote on the top play in the Phenom. Both of them very tight races, and bravo for both of them kind of coming down to the wire. A few votes coming in today actually decided that top play of the week. So the MOAC, we all feel on the OH report here, our collective crew, like this is going to be the best, most fun conference to keep an eye on. Maybe K-Mac Trav's like, okay, then maybe my conference, but very deep from top to bottom, a lot of teams to keep an eye on, and especially the defending champions. Ontario went 9-1 last year, got their first league title in 20 years. They were on the road tonight at River Valley, looking to go 4-0, and we had Joshua Banks out there. He's hanging out right now with my guy Shane Young. The MOAC report, baby, in a big game, a lot of offense I'm anticipating coming from Ontario and RV.
A lot of offense indeed. Ontario ran the ball for almost 400 yards. River Valley threw it for almost 300. It was a lot of offense, but not a lot of scoring, as we're going to roll the highlight now. You're going to see Mason Van Tilburg's going to start it off, 9-yard jaunt, a little jump into the end zone. Puts Ontario up 7-0 to start the game. This next play, this is 4th down, 4th and goal. They elect to not kick the field goal because when you got Bogpan Miller on the team, you don't need to go for 3 when you know you can get 6. 14-0, and this play right here, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, he faked our cameraman out. Bogpan Miller's going to take it around the sideline untouched. This young man's acceleration is through the roof. 55-yard touchdown. It's 20-0 Warriors. River Valley's going to come back. Chase Ebert's going to throw a beautiful pass to John Axline, who catches it on the defensive back of the Warriors.
Little stare down too, baby.
21-7. Bogpan Miller says, anything you can do, I can do better. He's going to throw it up 40 yards on the post pattern to who other than Landon Foltz, one of his favorite targets in that Warrior offense.
And a stare back.
This game got chippy. It's 27-7. You're going to see Hunter Jennings catch a little swing route. Ebert's going to call the play, get an adjustment from the sideline. They did this a lot tonight. But this throw that you're about to see, he threw one week 1 when I was there too. He put one in the breadbasket. And this one to Jennings, over the defender, right in the breadbasket. 27-14. The scoring ends after 3, and that's going to be your final. It was offensive explosion. For the amount of yards that were put up, though, there were very few points. Points were at a premium. I tell you what, though, one thing I loved about this game is I had the pleasure of a top play, which we're going to take a look at now. Bogpan Miller fakes out the entire defense, and again, our camera guy. But I think the best part about this, a hard cut inside and the acceleration on the sideline. Both of those River Valley defenders had the angle, and it did not matter.
This kid is going to be so good when he goes to Ohio State.
I've never seen him catch the football, but I've seen him run with it.
Man.
He had 182 yards rushing. He goes for 252 yards all-purpose tonight and 3 touchdowns. That's why he's my phenom as well. What more can you ask for out of your quarterback? 69 yards passing and a touchdown, 182 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. He is literally, he's their kickoff. He does their kickoffs. He returns punts. He's their punter. And when he's in premium situations on defense, he's the corner that's going to go out there and play press man against the best receiver. He is literally Mr. Do-It-All for the Warriors. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been talking a lot up about the Galion Tigers. Those Warriors tonight, their offense is pretty impressive.
Now let me ask you real quick. Out of all the teams in the MOAC, I feel like there's multiple teams, including Galion, Ontario, Shelby. I mean, do you think Bogpan, does he have what it takes to win the MOAC this year?
I think Bogpan Miller is the best athlete in the MOAC, and he might be one of the best athletes in North Central Ohio. I mean, there's a reason he's going to Ohio State as an athlete to play wide receiver. I compared him tonight with my color commentator, Mark Bollinger. I looked at him and I said, Mark, he is a taller Travis Hunter. At 6'4", 180, 190, He can play receiver. He showed tonight he can play DB. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He can do everything.
We're really going to open up that playbook at Ohio State then. And maybe we even get him to play like Travis Hunter at Ohio State. He plays both sides of the ball. That would be impressive.
I'm curious to see how long it's going to take Coach Eckert to open up the playbook at Ontario and throw the freshman at quarterback that they have sitting there and let Bogpin get some reps, some jet sweep, maybe some passes from him coming out of motion from the receiver spot. They got a dangerous offense in Warrior Country. But Trav, you were covering that other team looking to stay unblemished tonight. My favorite to win the conference. How'd those TI Tigers do?
Yeah, not just one team can play offense in this MOAC, and more good quarterback play as well for those TI Tigers, as you mentioned. So they were over at the Colt Corral. Show you how it all played out tonight in the Valley. Clear Fork coming off their first win of the season, and they brought half of America with them, trying to hand Galion their first loss of the year. And after a Colts 3-and-out to start the game, Zach Seeley blocks the punt. Camden Kuhlman scoops it up. It's quickly 7-0. Next Colts drive, my goodness, that's a freshman. Kurt Hay, he read it like a first grade book. That was an easy one. 46-yard pick six. Offense hasn't even stepped on the field yet. They still haven't. Trying to punt it away again, and no way. Seeley gets there for the second time, his second block punt. That would set up Braxton Prosser. They're this close. All he's got to do is jaunt in from 6 yards out. That was a fourth down play, though, so the Colts nearly stopped him. Instead, it's 20-0 after the missed PAT. It would be another Colts 3-and-out, though, offensively. Very slow start for them in this game. And more special teams misery. Jay Jackson running for his life all night. They could not block in the first corner. It was crazy to watch how Galion was just blowing everything up. Still first quarter, about 30 seconds to go. That's Jacob Chambers. That's a dime, 9-yard tutty. That's his 6th of the year. Galion looks like they're just going to steamroll their way to a rolling clock victory. Sophomore starter Marcus Hoflich, he's going to scramble, and then look at this. This is like something you would see on a wrestling mat. Alan Carver picks him up. He's got the suplex, and he would leave for the night. That's the starting quarterback down, so enter Mason Sansom. Fortunately for the Colts, this dude played QB for them all of last year. He got converted into a fullback. He would help lead them down the field, capping off a 99-yard touchdown drive. 3 yards he goes into the zone, 2:58 remaining in the second quarter. The Colts almost had a chance to pull within 2 scores before the break, but the Tigers defense stepped up. How about more defense right here? Trey Sellers reads Prosser's eyes. He snags the INT. The turf monster got him. I'm not sure how he was going to walk in unscathed, but that would set up Sansom again, 8 yards into the zone this time. So it's now 27-14. All of a sudden, it looks like the Colts are back in the game. Braxton Prosser going to put the city on his back. This is a long run of over 60 yards to have an answer after 14 consecutive Colts points. And then Prosser would end up scoring again, 19-yard touchdown run. That's his second of the night, and a little cherry on top coming up here to close things out. The first play of the fourth quarter, he finds Cohen Adams, 41-21. Galion gets the dub on the road. They are 4-0. They join Ontario in the ranks of the undefeateds. So for Galion tonight, they got out-rushed and not out-passed, but Clear Fork, 274 total yards, only 226 total for the Tigers. They didn't need a lot of offense because their special teams was so unbelievably dynamic. I was blown away by Zach Saley's ability to take on. It was solo blocks at first, and then they had to roll over 2 and 3 guys. I think he ended the night with 4 TFLs and 2 blocked punts. He might be up for a Phenomeny when it's all over, but I got to talk about the quarterback. Braxton Prosser, he really impressed me tonight. His ability, his escapability, his vision, the way that he can throw the football. He had a wild throw that I am going to include in this clip. Back shoulder towards the end of the game that got wiped out due to kind of a bogus penalty. But he's just a total package. He's got the speed, the awareness. 4 total touchdowns for him tonight increases his total on the season to 13 overall. So is he as good of an athlete as Bodpen Miller? I gotta say no. Is he just as good and dynamic of a quarterback in this system for these Tigers? I feel like his value is just right up there with a Bodpen Miller because of the decision making, what you see there, the ability to run out of the pocket, throw touchdowns, pressure in his face. He's a tough kid. It looks like he's put on a little bit of weight this year too to be able to absorb some of that contact. And this is that throw that I was talking about. Look at this back shoulder into the corner. And then an awesome catch, too. Didn't count, like I said. I think someone from Galion jumped on the other side, so it didn't even really be part of the play. But still, the Tigers, Josh, your favorite to win the MOAC. They did nothing tonight to sway me in another direction, but they've got a really big game coming up. You guys are about to break down against the Shelby Whippets, because the Whippets also had a chance to go to 4-0 tonight, Shane.
Absolutely, and that's what they did. Now, when I first got to the facility, I talked to one of my old coaches, Coach Helber, and I asked him, like, who are those guys to watch out for tonight? And he was like, quarterback, running back. He said it was like a one-two punch duo, and that's absolutely what it was. So I want to take a look. I want to get these highlights rolling. Now, when we get started in the first quarter, we're going to see Braden DeVito just go right in for a 21-yard touchdown. We start out the game 7-0. Now, I will say Shelby was a little sluggish, but they picked it up here in the second quarter, just before the half ends. And like I said, Marcus Gumbert, the running back, runs it in, makes it 14-0. Now we come out in the third quarter, and it's again Marcus Gumbert running in for a nice little 10-yard touchdown. They try and catch them with a little hard count here. Obviously, it doesn't work. They end up snapping the ball, and like I said, he runs in for a little 10-yard tutty. Also in the third, we get another Braden DeVito 2-yard rushing touchdown. This dude is extremely elusive. I mean, he can move all around the field. But Marion Harding, they try to come back. Now, this play is what really surprised me, put like a whoa on my face. It gets tipped up in the air, and it's still caught by it's caught by the receiver. It's 26-7. So, maybe Marion Harding, they're wanting to come back now. But no, Braden DeVito is going to launch a ball downfield to Brady Bowman, and is basically going to seal this game. So, towards the end of the game, they put the JV in. They end up getting a touchdown. The final score is 33-14. Shelby takes the dub. And now, like I said a little bit earlier, Shelby is part of those big teams that they can really win the MOAC, and I think they showed it tonight. I had Braden DeVito as my MVP for that game. He was a monster. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing. He can do it all. I mean, he was juking out defender. He was breaking tackles. He was throwing the ball downfield. And also Marcus Gumbert, I mean, he was running in touchdown after touchdown. I mean, it's like a two-headed dragon in Shelby.
They really is a two-headed monster over there. What's it going to take for Shelby to win the MOAC with all the guys that they lost last year?
Well, I mean, like I said, with these two, I think they can do it. This opens up the playbook because is Marcus Gumbert going to run the ball, or is Braden DeVito going to run, or is he going to launch it downfield and pass it? I mean, like I said, he can move around like a running back and even a receiver. I think Shelby has definitely a good shot at winning the MOAC this year, even though, Galion and Ontario, 2 big favorites also. But Shelby can definitely make a good run.
So we're week 4. We've got 3 4-0 teams in the MOAC. I want to say the most undefeated teams in any conference in our area. There's a reason they're undefeated. The schedule's only going to get more brutal because Harding's going to challenge some teams. Pleasant's going to challenge some teams. River Valley's not going to sit down for anybody. It's going to take a lot for these teams to finish a regular season unblemished. I see maybe 2 losses winning the MOAC this year.
Yeah, I mean, with how good the MOAC is, it's really between like the 3 teams we were just talking about. It could be anyone's division to win. All 3 teams, Galion, Shelby, and Ontario, they have the talent to do it. And, I mean, honestly, it's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be a good end of the season, though, to see who definitely wins the MOAC.
MOAC is going to be a blast. We're going to send it off to break. When we come back, enjoy some Came action, because that's what we're going to talk about next.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion. Visit us online at midohiojobs.net or call 419-747-7479.
More than Crown, we are the real people behind Crown CDJR of Dublin. Every member of our sales team is dedicated to providing you an excellent customer experience.
Find the right vehicle for you and your lifestyle is a Crown Crusher Jeep Dodge Ram today, the better way to buy.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. If you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. See, that's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes. And you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the beat kick. Everywhere you go, you bring the roof down. Everybody knows you got your own sound. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, yeah, you like it, the way you like it now. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, so good, so fresh. Get up on your feet. Show me you got soul. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Just the way you like it. The way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.
Welcome back to the Friday Night Pigskin Week 4 edition, brought to you by Spherion Mid-Ohio, and welcome inside the K-Mac Corner. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. K-Maction here on the OH Report as we kick things off conference-wise tonight, and oh, what a game we had down in the heart of Ohio. Jonathan Langdon was down there with Andy Jardy, and boy, you got yourself some highlights to show, my man.
Yeah, I do, and I think I can speak for Jardy, who's standing along waiting for this Jardy party.
Drinking a Mountain Dew, I see him.
We're both emotionally still recovering from this game. There's so much that happened from the heart of Ohio. Let's go ahead and roll the clips. We had a tough-nosed battle between the 2-1 Centerburg Trojans, 3-0 Northmor Golden Knights. And by the way, Northmor in weeks 1 through 3 won a combined 144-21. Yep. And it looked like it was going that direction. You see a receiving touchdown from Cohen Becker.
That guy's good.
A phenom contender last week, and I think he's got it this week.
Yeah, look at this run.
Yeah, he's going to run all the way to the end zone right here. This is his second of 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. I mean, are you kidding me?
He did last week, too.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We got to put a pocket in that because there's a lot more that happened in this game.
Ooh.
This was the turning point right here. Second quarter, pick 6, Tommy House to the house. Trojan defense is taught in schools for a reason. You see it right there. Within 2 in the third quarter, and what looks like a simple check down for Miles Marshall turns into a broken tackle, open runway, straight to the end zone. No one touched him, and for the first time this season, Northmor is down in a game. Yeah. How are they going to respond? Well, 7 minutes later, remember when I told you to put Cohen Becker in that pocket? Well, he can't stay in there for much longer.
He's on my fantasy
And he's going to run all the way out here.
Big point.
76-yard touchdown. And I thought this little celebration he does at the end, I thought that was an actual celebration, but no, it was a cramp. A lot of those.
A lot of crampage tonight. Yeah, it was warm out there.
Yeah, so you see him recovering. That was his last touchdown of the game. This is where it gets weird, and the chess games were played. Jardy and I thought that this situation right here probably should have been gone a different way. So they had the punt and their 2. We thought they should just snap it out of bounds and go for the safety.
I was watching and said the same thing.
So they don't. The clock runs a little bit, and with 10 seconds to go, Northmor opts to throw for the end zone. They find Bo Landon and score.
Big play, Bo.
So that puts it to a 8-point game. This is where
the controversy
it starts. Caught in the end zone. Trevin Harris finds a break.
You don't lose contain, Northmor.
I think Northmor just too deep down in there because they didn't know if he was going to return that. He kind of hesitated for a second, but the return for the touchdown, Trevin Harris, it is waved off.
But
it is waved off. Why is that?
Why is that? Because, folks, you see where he caught the ball. New rule, if you have 2 feet in the end zone and catch it, it is an automatic touchback.
So that would result in Centerburg just having to do the impossible and drive all the way down the field. They couldn't do it. Strip sack. They run out of bounds. Nowhere to go. That is how this game ends. 34-26, a classic there in the heart of Ohio. Northmor survives a scare.
Yeah. And I was talking to Mr. Jardy, who we will be seeing via the Jardy Party phone line here later on. But this is good for Northmor. They needed tested because they just, like you said, steamrolled their first 3 opponents. They didn't even put their starters in for the second half of those 3 games. And it's a big, big boost for Northmor. They had a few injuries in this game too. But I want to bring Brian in real quick. You're an official. You should know the rules. Would you have let that play go on?
First and foremost, I am not an official. I didn't know this rule until just now, and I gotta say that this is something that makes me pretty upset if I'm a Centerburg fan, if I'm a player on the team, if I'm one of the coaches on the team, because this isn't like one of those false start or illegal motion penalties where you let it ride out and then you bring the thing back. The play's dead if the ball goes in the end zone, if I'm following this correctly. So every single referee should be blowing on their whistle and then doing something like this and just saying, nope, none of this matters. The fact that they allowed it to ride out and then got all the fanfare, everyone going crazy up in the stands, I don't understand this. You see the referee in the back, he makes no motion. This referee acting like it's still a live ball. I don't think that they knew. The official in the middle of the field, he's not blowing the play dead. They're letting them run out the play. Watch all the referees here. I'm not here to criticize these guys, but if that's the rule, if that's what we're implementing, then by the letter of the law, just kill the thing, man. Go crazy. I don't know why they let this happen. Poor Trojans. Oh, what could have been. The fact that he took it all the way back to the house, sometimes as an official, maybe you just have to look the other way. I know it's not by the letter of the law.
Okay.
OHSA can call you up later, but just be like, hey, we'd like to see that 2-point conversion, and this is pretty cool. At least let them try. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents. You got to just blow the play dead. Do everything you can to let them know this is not a live ball. None of the referees did that.
Well, yeah, that just completely kills Centerburg after that because they think we're 2-point conversion away from overtime. But they don't. If it's waved off right at the beginning of that play, then you go for the whoop-whoop plays and all that stuff, and it might not. But they thought they had it and then had it just taken out from them. What can that do to them moving forward to kind of recover because they thought they had to tie?
This is definitely a game that could go either one of 2 ways. Centerburg could go after this and know that they can beat the top dog in the KMAC right now at least and roll through their next couple of games. But this could also set them back knowing that they had that moment and it just got erased. And that could really propel them or it could really detriment them. And you see it right there. How close is that? Because he is in the air when he catches that ball.
But his 2 feet came. I mean, it's the right call, but it should have been made at that time.
I was telling Jardy, we could talk about this for 2 hours.
I know.
Just a big time play, and then, that's a heartbreaking way for Centerburg to go down. And
how impressed were you with Centerburg though? Because we know Northmor's a really good team. Northmor needed that battle, but how good is Centerburg? Are they maybe one of those teams that could finish right behind Northmor if they do what they're supposed to?
See, last week I was high on Mount Gilead, and I had never seen Centerburg play, and I knew that was going to be the game that kind of decided some of the top end of how the conference ends up. And with what you're telling me about Danville, we'll get to them in a second. That mix of Danville, Centerburg, and Mount Gilead is closer than I thought going after seeing the Centerburg team. One thing about Centerburg is they pass the ball more than you typically see in the KMAC.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something that if they keep doing that, Blaine Ball is balling out. I'm just saying.
Pun intended.
So pun intended. If that keeps happening, Centerburg could sneak in. I'm not saying 3. I'm saying maybe 2 after this.
I do think 2. But going back to Northmor real quick before we move on, there is one guy that we talked about a lot tonight, and I think you have him as a fee nominee, and that is Cohen Becker.
Yeah, Cohen Becker. You're going to see him here in these highlights. Are you kidding me? Just look at that graphic. 186 rush yards, 145. I'll do the quick math for you. 331 all-purpose yards.
Trying to pull Tavon Austin versus Oklahoma again numbers right there.
Yeah, 4 total touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 receiving. He was all over the field, and it seems like he had that chip on the shoulder. I feel like he knew that he didn't win fee nominee this week, so he wanted to make sure he went and got it today.
And if it wasn't for him, this fast start, Centerburg may be looking at 3-1 top of the KMAC, but because of that fast start and then the controversy at the end, it's a little bit different. But Cohen Becker, I was extremely impressed with what he did in one half of play with 4 touchdowns last week. But then against competition, not trying to put Mapleton down, but against competition like this and him doing it, that just puts him above most in the KMAC.
Yeah, I believe so too. So Centerburg, nothing but respect for this game.
Absolutely great. Coach
if Trevin Harris
squad
catches that ball at the 1, we have a completely different conversation on our hands.
Yeah. But Northmor survives, and they stay at the top. Now, will the Danville Blue Devils stay at the top after one of their first losses in a few years? Do they keep the KMAC winning streak going? And I know you saw Mount Gilead.
Yeah.
Impressed with them after what you saw from them before?
Yeah, I was impressed with them. I was really interested to see what happens in this Danville game, and you're going to break it down.
Yeah, I am going to break it down. So let's hit those highlights because this was a big one for both teams to start conference play. 3-1 start could be huge for playoff rankings, but you know what? We're going to start with some defense, just like the Hillsdale highlight. Not a pick 6, but look at Bo Sayers going jump man. What a pick from him. That will later set them up 4th and goal from the 11, however. Wyatt Long threading the needle to Elliott Jones. 2-point conversion good, 8-0. Cole Fricky hurt on the second play, so Wyatt Long had to come in. However, they left too much time for the Devils. Aiden Burke bouncing through defenders like it's the house of pain, jumping into the end zone.
Big time.
2-point no good, 8-6 at the half. After both defenses picked things up to start the second half, Danville, they just got back to playing Danville football. Jacob Hackman to the left, to the afterburners, gone 35 yards for the lead, 12-8, Danville leads. Move to the 4th now. Devils punting out of their own end zone at Nolan Ridgely. Gets run into. Oh no, Danville gets a new set of downs and 15 yards. However, 3 plays later, it's a 3rd and long for them. And they're going to go to the air? Yeah. Hackman finds Aiden Mickley wide open down the seam. That later sets up the dagger. Josh Byers busts through the line, 11 yards out. Blue Devils keep its K-Mac win streak alive. Tops with Northmor, who they will see next week, 20-8. This, Jonathan, was an old school, just back and forth bash between offensive and defensive lines. There were times that Mount Gilead was able to move the ball when they scored their touchdown. There were times when Danville was able to. And then to start the 4th quarter, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, chess moves back and forth. And Danville got the breaks with the running into the kicker and then the big pass play.
Yeah, Danville, big win for them. I'm going to get to see them week 7, pretty much when they are going to be at their best, I think, at that point. So big ups for them. They stay up there towards the top. Northmore is going to be tough next week.
That's going to be fun. Me and Ken Parrott on the call. But for Mount Gilead, they had it. They had Danville punting out of their own end zone. Actually, the return was to about the 40-yard line of Danville as well, but the running into the kicker, that's huge because Mount Gilead started moving the ball as well right before that, the possession before. They get that. They don't get the running in the kicker. You never know. They may go and score and take the lead once again, but they don't. However, I am very impressed at what Mount Gilead did as you take a look at the K-Mac standings right now. Northmor, 1-0. Danville, 1-0. And then even Fredericktown and East Knox, who we will see in this next highlight with Brian Skoronski, they impressed as well. But Northmor, Danville, next week from the Castle. Ken Parrott, myself on the call. I cannot wait to get there, and I know it's still a week away. But also, like you said, Mount Gilead, very impressive, and they one of those teams that could possibly be fighting for the number 2 or number 3 spot.
Yeah, so I think for Mount Gilead, their front 7 is probably the best in the conference.
They're big.
They got some big dudes up there. Bo Sayers, he was a phenom last week as well, and he gets the pick.
Yeah.
And he's leading them as a sophomore. This team,
the dude got ups.
We had talked about it last week. Me and Jardy were on the call for the Grove City Christian game. This is the biggest team in the K-Mac, we think, and just their size alone will keep them in games. That's exactly what you saw against Danville, and I even though it's a loss for the Mount Gilead Indians, I have to like what they have going for them in the future.
Both teams will need to get their passing game and their passing defense going, especially as they move forward, because they're going to be facing East Knox. They're going to be facing Centerburg. They're going to be facing Northmor, who have pass attacks.
Yeah, that's what I forgot I was going to say. So another thing I said about Mount Gilead is they played in weeks 1 through 3. They played 2 all-state running backs last year. They held both of them under 40 yards rushing. So that's something I'm looking at, and that's why I say the front 7 is the best in the K-Mac. They have that ability to stop players in their tracks.
And if they can just get that defense going in the secondary, this could be a team, especially moving forward with all the young players. But we do have one more highlight from the K-Mac. I'm going to throw it over the ski. East Knox, can they get back on the board? It seemed like a Jax Lester got healthy enough to play at Loudonville as well. Take it away, Mr. Skoronski.
Yeah, we had a return of the Jacks. As you see the K-Mac standings there, 2-2 on the season. Really tough loss for them on opening night. 1 point. They bounced back, took care of Winford, and then last week shellacked on the road 33-0, or actually that was at home. We'll see how they did tonight going on the road at Loudonville. Sorry, guys. I've got kind of a blank screen here. I hear that you guys all get to see the highlights. I'm quite jealous. Loudonville hosting East Knox. Let's see it. So from the jump, how about Jax Lester? What a welcome sight back into the East Knox lineup. He's going to find Dakota Cooper. It's 6-0 Bulldogs in the first quarter. A freshman, though, getting involved in the mix. Colin Cayley picks off Jax on that throw right there to give the Birds a little bit of life. But as we fast forward now to the second quarter, how about a fast forward run here? 39 yards, a bulldozer for Blake Elliott to make it 13-0 Bulldogs. They would add on their lead later on in the third after leading by 2 scores at the break. 54-yard touchdown pass from Lester. He'll find Landon Dawson, and this would extend the lead out to 20-0. The Dogs will continue that trend of scoring in every single quarter, though. Here comes Rush Beatty, and he's going to pick off Chase Wright and take it back 47 yards. The route is on the road. Loudonville just could not get anything going offensively as the coach's kid finds the zone, turning some D into some big-time O right there. And your final highlight coming up will be Elliott popping off one more time to the perim. 46 yards, shaking off would-be tacklers. He'll take it in as the Dogs roll. He would be your MVP. 300 yards on the ground. Obviously, he's going to be up for Phenom this week with a couple of touchdowns as well. So, did we actually show them the K-Max standings, or did only I see those? Everyone saw the K-Max standings? All right. So, you guys already know kind of how it all lays out, but what you don't know is the rankings from K-Mac Plus himself. Mason Kidwell is here in the building tonight, so thanks for joining us all the way from college, man.
I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah, glad that you could come in here. So you see these teams, obviously the rankings matter in terms of the conference standings, or I should say the standings matter, but the rankings are what everybody really cares about. Mason, what do you say about them right now after you've seen 4 weeks of the season?
Well, I have 2 different things. We have our rankings, and I started doing this tier because sometimes rankings can be a little skewed, right? If you have like a big win or a big loss, it kind of drops or like brings you way up. So we'll start with my rankings. Number 1, Northmor. 2, Danville. 3, I'm bringing Fredericktown up. Mount Gilead's going to drop down to 4 after their loss tonight. Centerburg right in 5th. East Knox 6, Cardington 7, Loudonville 8. Now, the reason I started doing the tiers, like I said, was just because all those teams are really close. So tier-wise, I'm putting Danville and Northmor in my first one. And then Centerburg, Mount Gilead, and Fredericktown are going to share that second spot. East Knox is just right behind them by like a hair. And then Cardington and Loudonville are sitting down at our bottom.
I got to say, Mason, I'm a little surprised that Centerburg's not a little bit higher on your rankings. They went toe-to-toe with the number 1. Why are they so low right now at number 6?
At rankings, I really just look at your overall record and then your point differential. So if we really look at it, Mount Gilead and Fredericktown should be tied, both 2-2 at 25 points over what they've been scored on. Reason Mount Gilead is behind them is just because they had their loss tonight. Centerburg, also 2-2, but they're only at 16 more points scored than they've had scored on them. So that's the only reason they're down there. Same thing with East Knox. They're 2-2 with 13 points more.
All right, so Loudonville right now, I think pretty clearly in the cellar. They're the only winless team. And then you start looking at teams like Cardington, Lincoln, and then Mount Gilead, Fredericktown, East Knox. A lot of 2-2s all sitting in the mix right now. Talent-wise, from what you've seen, who do you feel like from that center section might start rising to the top and will be there near the Northmors and the Danvilles when the season's all said and done?
Well, I think this is all going to be super close. Looking at our future, week 5, we have Mount Gilead at Fredericktown and Danville at Northmor. 2 crucial games coming up. After that, Northmor at Fredericktown and then Mount Gilead at East Knox. That will be Mount Gilead's 3rd away game in a row.
Right.
And all super important games to where they fall into the K-Mac. And finally, I'll end off with week 7. We have Centerburg at Mount Gilead, another big game, and then Northmor at East Knox. Any of those games, I really think anything can happen right now. All these teams have showed that they can do great things, but they've also showed that they do have weaknesses. So if the right teams are able to exploit that, I think it could be anyone's conference.
Last question for you about the league. We just have a little bit of knowledge now about these head-to-head so far. Do you predict that by the end of the year, we will have a champion with 0 losses?
Champion with 0 losses. I really think it's going to come down next week to Danville at Northmor. Danville is still really good. A lot of people thought that they weren't going to be. Northmor also looking really good. Looked a little scared today. Centerburg really came in and showed them, hey, you're not totally unbeatable. They almost had them, maybe should have had them. But I don't know. I'm going to say it now. I think Danville and Northmor end up sharing the title.
early season prediction just 1 week into the KMAC, but who would know it better than KMAC Plus? Mason, you're a college kid. You like to party?
I do.
Okay, because guess what? It's a lucky time of the day right now, because we're going to bring in Andy Jardy for a Jardy party. Woo! Getting down up on the shores of Lake Erie, my friend. Looks like you just raced home. You just got there, huh?
I did. Yeah, I absolutely did. Got home like 10 minutes ago.
Well, glad that we could bring you into the mix, Andy, and I'm sure that you've just got a wealth of knowledge, all of the studying that you've done over the 10 minutes since you've been home. So take us around the state, man. What's a couple of things that you saw maybe outside of our purview that are notable?
Well, we have to keep bringing it to attention, but Marion Local's winning streak has reached 52 games. They won 71-0 tonight. Like, it is unbelievable how they just obliterate everyone in their path. So that obviously is going to start things off there. How about Mansfield Senior? 0-4? Like, what is going on? They got destroyed by West Holmes tonight. They were 0-3 for the first time in 20 years last year. I don't know when the last time they were 0-4. Maybe that same year when they started 0-3. I don't know that for a fact. I didn't have time to look that up. Madison beats Worcester.
Hey.
First time since 2012. Ring the bell, Ram Country. Let's go.
Bling,
you
bling.
love to see streaks come to an end. I know we had highlights of this earlier. I was listening to you guys on the drive back, but Mohawk, like, going in and just dominating Colonel Crawford. I don't think any of us saw that coming.
No.
Maybe that they could win, but the fact that they just went in and it wasn't even close was really surprising. And then I could be wrong on my tally here, but Northmor, Galion, Shelby, Ontario, Hillsdale, Monroeville, all undefeated in our area. I'm sure I'm missing someone out of that list. But yeah, we've got a couple teams still undefeated in the area, which is always good to see.
Yeah, still a lot of goose eggs in that loss column for some of these teams, but like you heard from Mason, probably not going to end up that way in the KMAC. A couple of teams might be splitting around there, so it's going to be a fun, long season, but we're almost at the midway point. It's always crazy to think about that, Andy. But as far as the kids that impressed you tonight, let's find out who your Andy's Dandies are here for week number 4.
I was able to come up with a few. I was worried I wasn't going to have a plural of Andy's Dandies this week, but I will start with the game that I was at, Northmor at Centerburg, which was just an unbelievable game. I want to talk about that game a little bit more here later on. But Cohen Becker, 12 carries, 156 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 9 catches, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Anytime Northmor needed a play, he was able to make one, and he helped them get out of there with a win tonight. An incredible performance from Mr. Becker. Talked about Madison getting a big win over Worcester. How about quarterback Cameron Kuhn, 175 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, on defense, he also had an interception to help them get the win. Speaking of defense, the Perkins Pirates defense tonight, 4 total interceptions and 2 pick sixes to get the big win over Harvest Prep. And then I am going to go a little bit outside of the box here for my final Andy's Dandy. There was a lot of concerts going on in Cleveland tonight. Billy Joel was up here. Nicki Minaj was also up here. But the Shelby Whippet Marching Band tonight, I don't know if you saw any footage of their performance at halftime tonight. They had the lights out and the glow sticks going. It looked awesome, and I hope to find some video of it. But shout out to the marching band of Shelby tonight in what looked like an incredible performance.
Shelby puts on a great show. Clear Fork tonight at the game that I was at, really impressed with what they bring to the table. So we've got some really good MOAC bands. And I was just thinking, one team that you did miss in that 4-0 group, the Ashland Arrows, get it done at home tonight too. So that was my team to win the OCC this year, Andy. Looking pretty smart. A lot of folks had the Tigers winning it. I would say about half in the media.
Yeah, yikes. Also, too, Carey getting back in the win column. Is Carey going to do Carey things again? Are they just going to get trounced in the non-conference and then run through it here down the stretch? We'll see.
Yeah, Cary tends to get scary when N10 play gets around. Friday the 13th, it just all blended. It made sense tonight that they would get that dub and get the engine roaring, I think, for probably at least 6 wins in the N10, maybe 7. I would not be surprised if they ended up winning it, Andy. So, well, let's bring in Travis, Jonathan, if we got them both here. I mean, you guys called the game together. I know that you wanted to talk just a little bit more about what happened down there in Trojan Land. I mean, bro, seeing that highlight, crazy at the end of the game, but it's not just that. There was way more to the game than just that 100-yard kick return that wasn't.
It makes you sick as a fan. I mean, I have no rooting interest in anyone in our area. I didn't grow up in the area. I have no allegiances to any team. But the way that game played out, where like Northmor did Northmor things to start, dominated, looked like it was going to be the same script we've seen from them all season. For Centerburg to answer and to take the lead late in the third quarter and have a chance there in the fourth quarter to come away with the win too. I think the thing that's so upsetting too is that we don't know what the outcome. We never got to see the 2-point conversion. You know what I mean? So like, if they get the 2-point conversion or they don't get the 2-point conversion, then we have like a finality to the game and everything's fine. But the fact that the kid returned it 100 yards, 100 yards. I know it's the rule. I don't have to like the rule. I hate the rule. I mean, we're eliminating the best, most exciting play in football is the kickoff return, in my opinion. And like, why is it a touchback? Why is it if you have 2 feet? It makes me, I don't know.
Right there with you, Jardy.
It's the right call. The officials got it right. That is the rule. I hate the rule.
But they didn't say it when they should have.
Exactly. So that was the confusion on the broadcast because we were both very confused as to all of a sudden. And I have to give credit to Coach Armrose because I think he was the one who might have known the rule. He was out on the field and like people were screaming like, get the coach off the field. But we didn't see any of the officials make that call. And I think he was the one who might have brought it to their attention. So, I mean, that's great on his part for knowing it, if that is the case. But, man, like, for a game that was like that, you had that incredible moment. And it's the right call. I know it's the right call, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
I was asking Jonathan this question as you were waiting to come on here, Andy, but how does Centerburg bounce back from this? This is tough because I said to him, they let that go, they score, maybe tie it, it's a whole new thing, or they just don't even, they call it dead right when they were supposed to, and then Centerburg tries the whoop-whoop play and don't get it. But because they got it and then didn't get it, what does that do? What does that do to them going into the next week?
Well, this is always one of those cases where, you hope one loss doesn't turn into 2, 3 in a row. I never want to put a team down, but you do get Loudonville next week, which is maybe the best possible team for them to run into after such an emotional letdown. They're going to go on the road. So it's not like you're back home against another really, top opponent, so to speak. They're going to get a chance to go and maybe take their frustrations out on someone that they should beat. Now, we'll see if that's the case because this was their game of the year. I'm sure this one was circled for a while. The place was packed. They had the military appreciation and first responders appreciation night. They had special uniforms for the game. And they played good enough to win this game. I think that's the thing that's frustrating too. If you're a Centerburg fan, is like you had Northmor rattled. Like Northmor was out of sorts for most of the second and third quarter of this game. And the fourth quarter starts, Centerburg's driving. They had 1st and 10 at the 24. And then they had about 4 consecutive penalties. Suddenly it was 4th and 33 or something outrageous. I forget it was 4th and a mile. The Northmor fans that came were so loud. It was almost like at a playoff game. I've never seen a road crowd force so many false starts on the home team, but that's exactly what they did. This game was special. It was weird. It was Friday the 13th. Weird things were happening. But yeah, you just got to move on if you're Centerburg. Flush it and move on. I know that's easier said than done because this was a game that they very well could have won if they just could have made a few more stops and, if that
It
kick
was
is a
fourth.
yard shorter. I'm pretty sure, Jonathan, we were talking about this on the drive back. I'm pretty sure that was the only touchback in the game. I could be wrong on that.
I don't think
but
I've seen a
don't-
touchback all season in any of the games I've done. That was a
I mean,
boot from Bauer.
that was a hell
You
of a
got to
kick.
give him
Hell of
credit
a
for
kick
that
to-
because that wins
Former
the game.
soccer player, so he's the perfect guy to be kicking for Northmore now that Chenier's gone too. By the way.
Yeah, I was going to say 4th and 38. That's what it was,
Jeez.
and it knocked them. The first down would have been the 14-yard line of Northmore. They ended that drive in their own territory. It is absolutely bizarre, and that was just a minute into the fourth quarter. That set the tone.
And Andy,
Yeah,
real quick,
and-
your thoughts on Cohen Becker? I saw him go off last week,
Oh.
and without him, Northmore is with a loss right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime Northmore needed an answer, that's who you gave the ball to, and he would make plays. I mean, one play, 55-yard drive, 76-yard touchdown catch. I mean, he answered the call anytime Northmore needed it. And so, yeah, without him, I don't think they get out of there with the win because this was really good for Northmore too. Like, you needed this after 3 weeks of, not being tested, blowing everyone out by halftime. This championship teams every now and then have to have games like this where they're, backs against the wall. They were down late on the road. Place was going nuts too. I mean, the Centerburg faithful made some noise.
Oh, they're awesome all the time.
Yeah, it was great atmosphere, and to go on the road at a place that they lost at 2 years ago too. So this is a place that's been tough for them to win at. To go on the road, come back after being up big and blowing that lead. I think Northmore thought that this was going to be like every other game, to be completely honest. I mean, that pick six right there just completely turned the game around. It was a poor decision by Bauer to throw it, and that gave life to Centerburg. And when you let teams hang around like Northmore did with Centerburg, it just gives them confidence as the game goes on, and they feel like, hey, you know what? We can win this thing. I mean, this game was just unbelievable, and it's unfortunate it had the ending that it did because it deserved such a better ending with the way that how hard these two teams played. But yeah, I think this game was great for both teams. Northmore got tested, answered, found a way to win. That's what championship teams do. And Centerburg gave it all they had. And, hopefully they're able to move on from this loss quickly because this is a tough loss. There's no question about it. But yeah, you have to just move on. And they got a good team. They got a chance to make some noise in the K-MAC.
And to put a bow on Becker, he had 9 catches in this game. They didn't look to really any of their other receivers outside of him. And the reason for that is because there's someone waiting to come back. And
Jack
really
Swanger
shake things up.
We'll just say right now he's questionable for Danville. There's a possibility. There might not be a possibility, but we'll just list him as like questionable right now for the Danville game. And if he comes back, and some of these injuries that some of the players had in this game, mostly cramps, mostly. But if they can come back at full strength against Danville, like you said, Andy, it could be very good. But let's throw it back to Brian. I think Brian wants to get back in on the conversation.
Guys, we've talked about this Northmore game at nauseum. I know it was a great game, unbelievable finish. We've spent about half the show talking about it, so let's get over it. I'm sure Centerburg's moving on. At least the kick return to the house wouldn't have been a game winner. That, to me, would have been one of those, can you bounce back? They still needed the 2-point conversion. They still would have had to win in overtime. It's all good. They weren't going to win the game. Good for Northmore. The winner between them and Danville is going to end up to go on, we think, to win that conference. All right, let's look at the other conference standings, though, from around our area, Andy. Let's begin with the MOAC. We've talked about it a bunch. We feel like it's the deepest from top to bottom that we have, and 3 undefeated still remaining in the league. Ontario probably has the best player in the league, but who the heck knows, man? You see what Braden DeVito's doing? Are you seeing Braxton Prosser's numbers? The quarterbacks for those 3 top teams are top-tier elite.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Travis asked us last week over under 1.5 losses for whoever comes away with this. So the under bettors are feeling good right now, another week through with everyone still sitting at 4-0. And River Valley's that team that, could potentially trip up one of those undefeateds at the top. And don't count out the Pleasant Spartans either. But the way that River Valley's offense operates, too, could just give a lot of teams fits. So this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun between these 3. And we get Shelby Galion next week, do we not? Is that
We
is
do.
that the week 5
Ontario
game?
gets Clear Fork, who I think, even though they're at the bottom of the league, they play really well defensively. They actually outgained Galion tonight despite getting their score doubled up. So I just think this league is going to be so much fun here over the next 5 or 6 weeks when it all shakes out. But we get some really good ones coming up here in the near future. Okay, in the OCC, we get one Mansfield team off the schneid, another one still looking for their first win of the season. So bravo to the Madison Rams. I'm glad that you brought them up because it has been football misery for them going on here for the better part of 6 or 7 years. So maybe they start trending up with this win here tonight over Worcester, a team that's probably beat them like 7 or 8 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't beaten them since 2012 is what I saw on
12 in a row.
Yeah, I think Jake Furr had that statistic I saw on Twitter. Yeah, just a great win for them because, yes, ever since I've been covering high school athletics down here, which has been 11 years, I don't think Madison has ever really been anything on the football field. So hopefully this is the start of them turning things around. Your Ashland Arrows continue to just put up points and look unstoppable in the OCC.
Yeah, they actually need a little bit of defense at the end of the game tonight to end up sealing the victory. So kudos to the Arrows being the only undefeated in there and nobody else even with 3 wins. So could be the most watered down OCC that we've had in recent memory. Now into the Northern 10. The biggest upset of the night in a lot of our media eyes was the Mohawk Warriors sitting astutely at the very top looking down on everybody else. Of course, you got the defending champions in the Cary Blue Devils. I think they've won it the last 3 years in a row before Colonel Crawford had that win back in 2020, the COVID year. But, dude, I mean, what more can you say about the Warriors? They didn't just win, Andy. They tomahawked the Eagles at their home place.
I know, that to me is the most shocking thing. It's like going on the road and just dominating in the fashion that they did, holding Colonel Crawford, who had been, similar to Northmor, just obliterating everyone, and then to go there, hold them to 7 points. Super impressed by Mohawk tonight too, and it's baffling. I'm trying to pull up Mohawk's schedule here. Mohawk's only lost to a Calvert team that I saw last week at St. Paul do virtually nothing against St. Paul. It's just weird when you start. I talked to Jonathan about this. You do the transitive property where Team A beats Team B, but then Team B loses to C, but C beats it. It gets all sorts of weird. But the fact that Mohawk lost to a Calvert team that I wasn't walking away impressed from, did not expect them to go into Colonel Crawford and do what they did.
Yeah, I think a missed PAT might have even cost them that game too. So
yeah, it was a 1-point game. Yep.
Very close to being 4-0 on the season. All right, we'll check in on the Firelands Conference as well, and just one 4-0 remaining out there. The Monroeville Eagles, but Western Reserve looking like they're probably clearly the number 2 team in this league. And oh my, the Flyers in danger of falling to 0-4. Same with the Crestview Cougars, the champions of the league for many years here running here. Crestview had those 3 in a row. So there's definitely, this thing feels like it's got turned upside down on its head with the likes of South Central and Mapleton potentially being in the top half of this thing along with those other 2 teams.
Yeah, I'm excited to, later today now, I will see Mapleton and St. Paul play over in Norwalk. Will the Flyers score their first offensive touchdown of the season? Because all so far this year, they have a safety and a kick return for a touchdown.
Wow.
Thankfully, he didn't have his feet in the end zone when he returned that kickoff. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that game goes tomorrow. I'm curious to see if the Flyers can, much like Cary did tonight, see if they can start to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, we still appreciate those Flyers parents that reached out to us and wanted us to get the coverage for the team this year. It's going to be the day today, Andy. The offense is going to get going, at least we all hope, right? I mean, come on. You can't go
it's time.
4 weeks without an offensive touchdown.
No.
It's their moment. Well, buddy, glad that we got a party here from Friday into Saturday. It's always a good time, and always learning a lot from you about teams that are winning 50-plus games and teams that go 101 yards for touchdowns that don't count. So, jeez. What a crazy night of football, but week 4 almost always seems to be that way.
Sure does.
All right, Andy. Well, I'm going to turn it over to the boys since they hung around here for the very end. I'm going to sign out. My alarm clock's set for about 5 hours from now, so I'm going to go get a little bit of shut-eye. Andy, enjoy your game tomorrow. It's Brawl Week, baby.
Brawl day. Later today, 3:30, Mountaineers going to Acrisure Stadium to knock off Pitt for the second straight year. Also, in about less than 10 hours, I will be doing the match for the Play for Delaney match. Monroeville taking on Buckeye Central, a district championship rematch from last year. So tune in around 10:40, 10:50, and we'll have pregame for that. It should be a good match, and it's for for one of the great friends at Monroeville. But anything for you?
I got to see Buckeye Central on Thursday. They had a tough loss to carry, so thanks for shaking up in the end 10.
Hey, there we go. But let's get out of here so we can get some rest before that. I'm out. Bye, Brian. Bye, everybody. See you.